You've probably heard about the extraordinary free market successes of Javier Milei in Argentina, where his small government policies have seen a plunge in the inflation rate, they've seen a collapse in poverty, and he's been producing the first fiscal surpluses for many, many years. Well, I recently had the good fortune of spending 2 weeks there, where I interviewed a range of fascinating people, including government ministers. And the most important minister that I spoke to was the Treasurer of Argentina, or the Economy Minister, as they call him, and his name is Caputo. And the most interesting thing that he talked about in the following interview was his forecast for the Argentinian rate of inflation. So I do hope you enjoy. Well, I have the pleasure of sitting here with the Economy Minister of Argentina, Caputo. He's had a very distinguished career in both the private sector and the public sector. He's been the governor of the central bank, he's been a professor, and of course most recently he has been the treasurer, as we would say, of the economy of Argentina, a very important role. The eyes of the world are certainly on you, more than most Argentine finance ministers, I would say. So firstly, congratulations on the great electoral victory recently. What's the single main reason why you think the government did so well, the government's party did so well?
Well, thank you very much, Adam, for this interview. My greeting to all the Australian people. And yes, we did very well. I think it was extremely positive for the country because in a way it was a sort of referendum as of where people wanted to go in terms of economic path. And this was the validation that people really still wants to go for this liberal politics that we are following. That at the very beginning there were more like promises from the president, but now we actually have we can show very good results. So for us, the fact that people are validating those results is a confirmation that what we are doing is actually well, and that we will then have the mandate to continue that path. So I think we did well essentially because of that, because results were good. And remember that we come from a country where we have 100 years of very poor track record. It used to be one of the richest countries 100 years ago, and then we went all the way down. So I'm very glad that this was finally.
So some presidents in the past, I think such as Menem and Macri, have tried to normalise Argentina and they've failed after a few years. What is different about Milei? What's different about your president?
Well, the difference, this is the first time that we actually tackle the root of our problems. We always had this problem that was the financial deficit. Argentina run a fiscal deficit 113 over the last 124 years. So pretty much always. And what people perceive as the actual problems were actually the consequences of this problem. That was the way you finance, the way the country financed that deficit, either by raising taxes, either by devaluing the currency, or by defaulting on their debt. I mean, so there were different ways, but those were actually the consequences. So monetary issue, taking too much debt in the market, or raising taxes, but never tackle actually the problem that was the fiscal deficit. So Argentina almost never had fiscal equilibrium. There were very few exceptions. You mentioned the one in the early 1990s, but that was essentially based on privatizations. So that fiscal equilibrium was immediately lost, and actually that was what triggered the end of the convertibility. So this time is different because we actually come from a president campaigning that he was campaigning with a chainsaw, that he was going to cut the fiscal deficit, and we did it. Just for people to know, we inherited 5 points of fiscal deficit, and we were able to reduce that in the very first month of our mandate. That's almost unprecedented. Yes, in the history, totally. So, and since then we've had a fiscal surplus for the last 20 months. So that commitment is still there, and that is what makes the difference. When you follow the right policies, then of course results and go along with that.
Most Keynesian economists would have said that if you cut spending by 5%,
Absolutely.
you get a huge recession, huge depression.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, that did not happen. So has Argentina made a mockery of standard conventional?
And I think that's probably what makes the president, happiest and the most, because he hates Keynesian. So the reality is that, yes, we prove a lot of textbooks wrong, because we cut the budget by 30%, which is really big. And some people thought that, of course, if we were going to do that, then we were going to suffer a massive recession. People were forecasting 10 to 15 points of recession. Far from occurring that, when you look at the monthly economic activity indicator from December 23 to December 24, actually the economy grew 6.6%. So we achieved that this reduction in the fiscal deficit to zero, with the economy growing, and also preventing our people from entering into hyperinflation that was almost around the corner.
When you made those cuts, you must have been a bit nervous, a bit anxious that maybe the text.
Yeah, it were tough. Yeah, it was definitely tough times. I mean, bear in mind that we inherited the worst economic situation in Argentina's history, which is not little to say, because, as I said, we are a country who over the last 100 years entered into 24 crises. So for much less than what we inherited, Argentina fell into a very deep crisis. To having avoided a hyperinflation, making the economy grow, reducing inflation from 1.5 daily to almost 1.5 per month, and lifting more than 12 million people out of poverty is something that makes us feel very proud.
Certainly, just on the rate of inflation, bringing that down to such low rates has probably been the biggest achievement, certainly from outsiders.
Yes.
Huge achievement. In the month of October, I think it was 2.2% or something
Yes.
like that. Does it worry you that it's creeping up a little bit slightly? Do you expect it to flatline, go down further?
Good question. No, it doesn't worry us, because over the last 4 months, we suffered a brutal attack from the opposition. So when that type of things happen in Argentina, when politics became so violent, I mean, people tend to, get more defensive. So it's normal that businessmen raise prices a little bit more. But the important thing to understand is that we haven't printed any pesos since the last 16 months almost. So it is a matter of time till we bring Argentine inflation to international levels. So I think we are a few months away from really having inflation numbers that will be much more like
The single digits.
the single digits.
And so when that happens, do you float the peso fully?
Well, it is a gradual process. Now we have this band system that we think it is a more appropriate thing now. The reason for that is that the price of the dollar in Argentina is a very sensitive issue. Think that the price of that in Argentina, the dollar is like the safe assets. There's been a lot of biography about safe assets since the 2008 crisis. In the United States, for instance, when people get worried, they buy short-term T-bills, and that pushes interest rates significantly down, even to negative territory. That eventually helps the economy to recover. In Argentina, the safe asset is the dollar, with one caveat, that is, when the dollar goes up, people get even more nervous. So it actually hurts the economy. So what we want to avoid is having that kind of abrupt move in our currency. So we rather float on a gradual basis, and that is what we are achieving through this band mechanism that is working actually pretty well. But yes, the idea in the future, once we have a more stable demand for our currency, and the FX markets goes back to more normal volumes, eventually, we will end up floating just by widening this bands. That is been the case now.
Just in terms of foreign investment into Argentina, I know you have this new regime for foreign projects in mining and so forth, the 200 billion threshold. Basically, how successful has that been so far?
Very successful. I mean, we've had already 25 projects submitted. We have approved 9 for an amount of total amount of 50 billion. The 9 ones approved totalize 25 billion. But on top of that, this regime, for people to understand, is a special regime where you have additional benefits, where you have benefits for investing more than 200 million. But on top of that, we are witnessing very significant FDI that is not necessarily going through the regime, but in different sectors, in AI, in knowledge economy, and in different, in a variety of sectors. Over the last 2.5 months, we have already announced investments worth for $100 billion. For Argentina, that is massive amount of FDI. Of course, that is not money that is going to be deployed in the next 30 days. It's money that is going to be deployed in the next 2 to 4 years. But it is a big amount for the country that is very undercapitalized. So these investments are going to be crucial.
Well, certainly Australia has a lot of capital. For instance, our pension funds are worth $3 trillion.
I know.
And they would like to invest, I think, in Argentina, but it's probably difficult at the moment for various reasons, or they're scared to. What would you say to the managers of those pension funds?
That they have a fantastic, phenomenal opportunity. Mining, something that in Australia is big. I mean, mining is a big opportunity now in Argentina. We have the most important companies coming to invest, and the reality is that we are in a turning point in Argentina's history. Sometimes you think that, I always say that there are moments where history changes, and in general someone thinks that you read that in a textbook, and sometimes it happens that you're actually living that history change. And so this is happening, but of course, as we have a very bad track record, yields are still very attractive despite having reached fiscal equilibrium, monetary orthodoxy, and lifting 12 million out of poverty, and all the things that we have achieved. Still, Argentina is a country that offers very significant returns, double-digit returns. For instance, newcomers are going to capture that, because we will definitely continue this path of reforms, of lowering taxes, and making every year easier for FDI to come, invest, make money, and take their money home.
So your party did so well in the elections that I think you can legislate possibly now in the Congress on tax or the labour market. What are the 2 biggest changes that you'd like to see on tax and in the labour market? Well, and I understand the government's still sitting.
Absolutely. We are going to be sending the labor reform and the tax reform, as you pointed out. The most important thing in the labor reform is that we need to enhance the level of formalization. Argentina is still a country that almost half of its economy is on the informal sector. So that there are 2 virtuous ways to increase tax collection. One is by increasing the base of people who actually pay taxes. So we need to formalize more people, and by making the economy grow. We think that with this labor reform, we will be sending the right incentives to the businessman community to start hiring people back. We haven't had any job growth in Argentina since 2011. So imagine we have 14 years of debt in that.
That's job growth or
formal. Yes, it is amazing.
And talking about flat taxes and so forth. Is that something that interests you?
Yes, and with respect to a tax reform, it is going to be conducted on a gradual basis. We will start now, but think that we still have our budget equilibrium as our most important anchor. So we cannot risk that. So we will be lowering taxes on a continuous basis as we get more, as we grow, and we increase our base of people getting into the formal sector, so that we have more surplus. So this is an ongoing process. We feel that given the latest elections, probably the outcome is that we will have likely, if that wants, 6 years more of mandate, and that will give us enough time to carry out all these reforms. I mean, again, it is a lot of work to still be done. I mean, a lot of work because we are coming back from 100 years of regulations and wrongdoing. So the tax burden, the tax burden in Argentina is high. So there are many things that we will have to resolve, and we feel that it's going to be actually probably the most successful story in the next decade, no doubt in our minds. We feel very optimistic.
I hope so. Just one more question. So your political philosophy. So your boss obviously talks about Hayek, Rothbard.
Yeah,
this is all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, he's over here. Libertarian.
Yeah. Yes.
Has he dragged you towards the libertarian side? Are you reading Rothbard?
No, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I was actually always very orthodox. I mean, I studied economics in Buenos Aires, but then I work in the financial sector. And in general, economists that work on the financial side, we are all very orthodox. I mean, we want to see people think that you like, you may like risk, and it's actually the other way around. Once you are in the financial market, you want to hedge actual risks. So I was always very orthodox. So I was much more always on the libertarian side. But I always say that for Argentina, in order to graduate as a serious country, what we need to change is this volatility, this political volatility that we have been facing for the last decades. I mean, we cannot have a volatility that is either capitalism or communism. In most countries, even if the left wins, they take the same freeway. I mean, so if the right wins, we will go this way, other to the center, other a little bit onto the left, but they all take the same freeway. You don't have situations like in Argentina that if we win, we take this freeway, but if we lose, they go Venezuela way. So we need to change that. Hopefully, the message that was sent by our people in these latest elections will open the opposition's eyes, so that they are able to build a coalition that competes in the next elections in 2027, but with a much more, I want to say, reasonable approach than getting a communist alternative. So I think that will happen, and that makes me feel even more optimistic, beyond the fact that, of course, I think we are going to win. But again, to avoid the volatility, we still owe that to our people.
All right. Well, thank you very much for speaking.
You're welcome.
We're all hoping for your success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.